Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay,
I'm still
that
getting
audio
set
was
up
down.
over here.
How do you make a picture behind you?
No, not right now.
Under effect, there's a
Uh-huh.
green screen
No.
effect.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I want...
Got Ashley coming in.
Hey, I just need one more moment. I'm just trying to
Ooh,
get everything set up.
cool.
Oh, you can't really
We got
see it.
stickers. Hello, Andy.
Just habitually late over here.
Okay, I'm still inviting our guests.
Hi, everybody.
We've got to get people in here. Here we go. We'll send it to Sumili and Lady Sativa, and we'll get them in here. We got it's another House of the Dragon Sunday done.
Another one down. Stab Saucy Boy asks how everyone is doing this Monday. I'm doing all right, other than it's, a Monday, and I work one of those jobs where that matters.
Yep, definitely Monday around here. Welcome in, Sumali. Hello.
Hello.
And then
How are
we're doing good. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. I would have been more timely, but classic me, I'm always like sitting like waiting for a Zoom meeting to start, and then I'm like, wait, now I need to pee, and maybe I should go get more water, blah 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 blah.
I'm
I'm the exact same way. I'm like, do I need a drink? Okay, do I need to make sure I do this? I need to go to the bathroom first, make sure I'm just gonna try.
I know.
And
it's funny, I know I can go during, it's fine, like it'll go on, but it's just the doors are closing.
I just had my son go and grab me all the other things that I forgot because I'm still trying to set this up for my littlest one. So there's just so much going on right now.
Yeah. Comes that way. Especially when you're juggling little ones. For me, it's just cats,
Yeah, there's no books safe in this house.
I mean, same. Bela, my cat.
Emily, how many cats do you have?
I just have two. They're both tuxedos, so they probably look the same anytime they've appeared in public. My whole family is always confused. They're like, which one is this? And I'm like, there's only two, and they both look the same.
You can call them whichever. It's fine.
Yes. But I'm still mother of cats. We have this whole outside colony, and I've like TNR'd all of them, and I feed them daily.
That's wonderful that you've done that.
I got a little out of control, and I now have 4.
Oh,
yeah.
That. Oh my god.
So I have Dunk, Egg, Jack, and Dexter.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the two like very canon names.
Yeah.
And then they're like, Jack and Dexter, Are they named for anything? Jack and Dexter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dexter, I always love telling this story, but so the actor that they've cast to play Egg is named Dexter. And we got a text in the group chat from Ashley that was just, Dexter shaved his head. And all of us immediately thought, your cat shaved their head. How? How did that happen?
You were so confused.
You shaved your cat.
At this point in time, we had been friends for over a year. So they get this text, and they're like, and I've been talking about Dexter this whole time. I've had him for almost 12 years. And they're like, oh my God, your cat shaved his head? What?
Yeah.
By
himself?
Beans just
Hey,
Florida cat.
So it was a little alarming. I was like, yeah, you know what? Somebody came in here and shaved his head, and that's it.
Some burglar in the night.
Somebody had to do it.
I took notes last night, which I haven't been doing.
I'm looking for Brandon. I don't see him here yet. I sent him an invite, so. But you have notes. That's good. I have notes just to keep us on track for so we make sure we discuss everything. But who's got takes? Who's got stuff going on in this episode?
First and foremost, we have to do something. Hold on.
Hold on, guys. Give me 1 more minute, and I swear my camera is going on.
Better. Just kidding.
Okay, here it is.
Literally 1 more minute.
Wiener, 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 wiener.
I mean, it's relevant.
Okay, get it out of the way. Let's just get it out of the way.
Let's just get that out of the way.
Get it out of the way. Let's just get it out of our system.
The elephant in the room.
That's right. Let's get it out of our system. Let's just put it out there. It's HBO, so you know they were gonna do it. Like, there's got to be a dick in there. There's got to be a dick in there.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I watched this episode with my father sitting next to me, so that was fun.
Oh,
Yeah, I watched it with my mom.
although
We were both like embarrassed for each other, you know?
Yeah,
it's always
I feel
that
like
one because the
Dad
same
is
thing
worse
happened with me and my stepdad. Like we were watching one of those episodes of Game of Thrones, and I can't remember which one it was, but it was like full frontal. The dick was out, and I was like, yeah, that's my dad.
Yeah, exactly. And like we're pretty cool about that kind of stuff, but it just took us both by surprise
If it
because
happened just like that, just
The funny thing is that
dick in
we've
the
been
mouth.
seeing
I just was not prepared.
we've been seeing floppy shilling-alongs since episode 1 of Game of Thrones.
It's true. We have seen them. We have
Floppy.
seen them.
Okay, it's not episode 1. That's
Floppy
like
ones.
what,
I feel
episode
like that's
7?
an important distinction. They've been floppy in the past.
Of Daenerys.
Just saying, that changes the element a bit. Just
Yeah.
a little.
when it's turgid, it's different than when it's floppy.
Exactly. Exactly. I think
We
we can all agree.
we saw a full erect peen in that last episode being whoop.
And so it was how fast
Slide whistle. Yeah, that was quite a
Was
performance.
there any foreshadowing?
So if there's any like foreshadow, like there is something like I think like character-wise going on with Aemond being that exposed in that moment, especially with the dynamic he has with Aegon.
Yes.
Jokes
And-
aside, but I'm wondering though. I think Drew might mean the wiener in the mouth, but you know, maybe.
Yeah, yep. There, you know, it's funny that we have to make a distinction between which
right. Because we did see two.
might. Yeah, there.
I'll get
Too
back to you on
many,
that
if you
one.
ask me.
It did look fake, which it probably
The
was.
vulnerability of
They don't normally film scenes like that for real. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
they all have day jobs.
Fun fact, did you know in Pretty Woman, like all the like body shots that you see were not Julia Roberts. Like
Oh,
the opening scene with her legs and stuff, that's not Julia.
Did you know that in Saltburn, at the end, he is not wearing a prosthetic? So there you go. He said, "Bitch."
Same with
because
well-
it's not just that; he's also dancing. Like it's a whole power move.
Yeah, yeah.
well, I heard
Sabrina,
they
I
had
get
to
it, you know?
They had to get a stunt man for Willem Dafoe because it was too much.
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, apparently Willem Dafoe is he's got it going on.
Okay. We switched topics. I thought we were still talking about. Okay. Anyway, let's move on.
Sorry, yeah. Sorry.
We got
Don't ask me to talk about
It
wieners.
had to be addressed. Everybody was going to say something if we didn't, so there it goes.
It's
There
true. It was very
Five
good.
more seconds. 5 more seconds.
Party, wiener party, party song, wieners, nice.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, one thing I noticed real fast in the beginning was in the intro credits, they included Jaehaerys's death, and I thought that was kind of disrespectful.
Disrespectful.
I thought it was artsy.
I just did a dance. I'm sorry.
I know.
No,
I was
it
like,
was
I
just
loved
like it was cold. I loved it,
Yeah,
but
that
it
was
was just
cold.
like very like ooh,
Well, I
That's
mean,
still
I was
fresh.
wondering if they were going to add things as they happened, which
I was excited to see something changed so soon
Yes.
because actually in the Game of Thrones opening, which of course uses the same device, took a while. You know, it wasn't changing right away. Oh God, I'm speaking out of turn, but I was excited to see a very noticeable change right at the beginning of the season. I thought that was really cool.
Mainly what I think with the changes with the Game of Thrones intro, they just added additional places.
Locations, yeah.
They just added
Yeah.
additional, you just know, the spots on the map. Here we're getting things that happened.
events. Yeah. No, I love it.
I saw the vision from the first season's intro with the bloodlines, and those were going to be changing throughout each season.
That was too
I
hard to
think-
track.
And I think it was too esoteric
It was
And
too
then-
hard to track.
And
Yeah,
then
could not
I
agree
think this
more.
is way better of that. It's the similar idea where like it's not just going to be like the tracking of the deaths, sort of, but it's like, you know, writing the story on the tapestry. I think it's
Yeah.
great.
Yes.
Because they're
Yes.
building the tapestry, which also brings it back to Helena's whole little like weaving green, schools of, you know what I'm
Yep.
talking about.
And
The
then I
schools.
mentioned in my video on the opening too that like again with the way they're framing and I know the whole group has opinions about this, but the way they're framing the war as Rhaenyra versus Alicent and kind of that overarching rivalry, I like the concept of it being a woman's medium, so like a textile as a form of telling the story, and just visually. So that's a nice symbolism, but visually, the bloodline thing, like not to be shitty, but it's like there was so little contrast and it was so dark. Like that's a Sappho thing, right? Like he was like, make it as dark as possible so we can't even tell what the symbols on each little, and let's go really fast so that it's all a blur. You know, I liked the idea of it, but execution wise, I was just like, okay, it's just blood and gray. Everything's gray. I can't tell what's going on unless I pause it. Whereas with the tapestry, I feel it's much more tactile, and you can just really feel like, okay, I see the pictures forming. I see the contrast. I can tell what character is what character. I just like it a lot better.
Okay, Eric, for some reason, it won't let me turn my camera on, so I'm going to exit out of the app and request to join again. So hold on, I'll be back.
Well, I mean, I feel like I want Ashley involved in the first.
Yeah,
little
we'll just
bit,
wait for her. We'll just wait.
about-
Should we go to
Yes, exactly, for that first scene.
Great. Yeah, what's going on in the
I noticed that. Okay, hold on. Actually, let me get Ashley back in here. Send her an invite. And
Oh, I
Taryn,
never noticed that.
do you have a?
Okay.
Can you get a hold of Brandon and see if they're going to join us?
I sent him the chat.
Okay, cool. I sent them an invite as well. I just don't have their phone number or anything. But okay, Ashley, did that fix it for you?
Yeah, hold on. Getting a background.
Okay, cool. So let's introduce the very first scene, which seems to be very important for the like thematic through line for the whole episode. But we got some Bracken Blackwood stuff going on.
We sure did. Sure did.
Yes.
That
I like-
shot as it pulls out and it's just corpses. My God. I was just like, oh shit. And it just kept getting worse and worse as it pulled back. It was shot. I really liked how it was shot. And I've already seen people criticizing not showing the battle. Like, I personally, that doesn't matter to
I
me.
need it.
Because
Yeah,
it's
I
not
mean,
about that. It's about what happens. Like, that's
Yes.
the whole- like you just need to see the carnage of it. You don't need to see it
Exactly.
happening. And I think it's really interesting. These kind of seen a lot of calls for more violence. Like, you know, there were a lot of people who were disappointed in Blood and Cheese because it lacked this visual element. And I'm just, that's okay. And I say that as someone who like watches horror films and like enjoys that in the right context. But for me, this hasn't been it.
Agree. Yeah, hard agree.
I loved the way they just the way that whole scene goes down, because it's very much like they don't care about what's going on. This is all their old beefs coming back, and then it leads to that almost in an instant. And I think that's a powerful statement about how quickly things are going to escalate from here on out.
And I liked the kind of parallel. I mean, again, they cut it so you don't see it happening, but I like the parallel between Luke and Aemon's conflict, where it's like, the family has beef. It's generational conflict, generational trauma that they're passing on. Luke and Aemon knew why they were fighting, but, the Brackens and Blackwoods, nobody even remembers. And yet these teenage boys who are going to be prone to fighting anyway, because that's what teenage boys do, end up in a fight, and then suddenly everybody's dead.
Right.
I thought it's just exactly what we're in store for with the dance as well. So I like
The way it like
Both were
echoes
games.
it echoes what Rainey's has been saying about like eventually no one's going to remember what started it, And I mean, like, you can counter that because at its heart, it is about usurping Rhaenyra. That is really the heart of it. But like, Rainey's is not wrong. And so I like how they use the Blackwood Bracken thing as a way to echo that. And then you see it again at Harrenhal with Simon talking about it. So
Yeah, I think a lot of people miss the point of that because they're like, oh, this is just to show like the cost of what's happening in the dance. And yes and no, it is, but it's really just to show you like what this all ends up being at the end of the day, because this has been going on since the Age of Heroes. And nobody can remember, like you said, nobody can remember what it really was, because the Brackens say that they were the kings and that the Blackwoods didn't come to their aids. And then the Blackwoods said the opposite. Like, that's what it's supposed to show, because this isn't really about the dance for the Brackens and Blackwoods. Like, they just wanted an excuse.
it's a theme.
Like, it's like in
really a
Aegon's
theme.
council. In Aegon's council, that's what he said it was. He was like, I wouldn't even take this personally. They just wanted an excuse to kill each other.
Yes.
Another thing
That's
about this
thematic of
scene,
humanity, as a whole.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
husband of War and Peace in the chat here is telling somebody that because everybody was wondering, is that Benjicott Blackwood? And now we know it's not.
It's not.
This
Not,
this
but
character
it doesn't
was
mean we
apparently
won't get him. It
this
doesn't
character
mean we
was-
won't get him.
yes, the character was apparently named Davos, but I would like to show everybody or like remind everybody that like the way the show introduces characters, they specifically mentioned that Samwell Blackwood dies in this battle, which he does, and that's when Benji takes control as Lord.
Right.
So
They're setting it up to me.
they're setting it up. It feels like.
I feel like, do you feel
Okay.
like they kind of like intentionally punked us? They were like, man, let's get this Davos to look an awful lot like how Benji is described in the book and just release this still. I feel like there have been a couple instances of them just kind of like fucking with us. Like the David
Yeah.
Era thing and like, you know what I mean? Like I would do that. That's what I would do if I worked in marketing.
Well, and I will just say, sorry, I feel like I'm like out of my depth on this panel anyway, but I'll just go ahead and say it fucking works, doesn't it? Like every single time something gets released, and maybe there's some intentionality behind it with whoever is releasing it, with HBO, people take the bait. People love in this fandom to just like attach themselves to something, and then they're like, what? So I think they know what they're doing, you know.
Well, this is
fandom.
why I said it in my video about Benji. I said, hey guys, like this is very important. Like I specified in my video, this may not be him. Like it looks an awful lot like him, but it may not be him. And yet people still commented in my video, like, everybody got it wrong. You got it wrong. You were wrong. And I was like, I literally said in this video
This is speculation.
that it may not be him. Like
The comments, I mean,
pay
comment
attention.
section.
George is notorious for fucking with us. He is notorious. He puts it in the books. He puts it in
Unserious.
my blog. I mean, he fucks with us.
Now,
on
I
purpose.
want to see it. I want to see Kermit and
Rover.
I want to see the lads. I really do. I want to see Oscar, Kermit, and Benji. I want to see this dynamic trio. Like, I want to have my heart shattered when Adam Valarian, like, spoiler warning. In fact, also, like, this entire live is a spoiler.
It's a spoiler warning. Yeah.
So
I mean,
there's going to be.
Yeah,
there's
we're
gonna be
all
some
books.
I'm a
All
walking
books, every
spoiler.
event,
Book
every
to
future
show
episode.
comparison, guys. So there's going to be spoilers here. So
Okay, I think,
I'm already attached to Adam Valarian because he's hot. Like,
And he's loyal. You can just tell
I'm just-
from his demeanor.
I'm
like, he's
just
a
gonna
man
put it
with a
out there.
man.
I'm just gonna put it out there. My guy, like, you're fine. You're fine.
And I don't say that.
So
Y'all know I don't say that.
I
Ever.
want to have my heart shattered when Benji goes to him and he's gone with sea smoke. Like that, I want to be completely broken from that. So I need it. I need Benji Blackwood. I really hope that we have him. But like I said in the video as well, this is why I don't have favorite characters from Fire and Blood. I have characters that I like, characters that I enjoy, but I don't have any favorites because we don't know who these people are and we don't have any POVs from them. And even some of the characters that I like Damon, I said it to you guys today. I feel like that dream that Alice gives him, he deserved it. So
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we will get to that.
we'll go into why in a little while, but he
Okay,
deserved it.
so really quick, there are a lot of comments. I think some of them, like, we'll shout them out, but if we want to kind of stay on track, we probably won't want to get too far into them. But like, there's one that asks, how do you think the plot would have been different if they kept Rhaenys' black hair like in the book? There are a lot of ways it could have been different. I feel like the theoreticals of that are kind of endless, right?
There's a lot, but there's also it could have also not been different at all.
True. Yeah.
Well,
Which is what I feel like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
the hair color the show went the way it did with like not playing with the ambiguity, which I sort of agree with, but that's because I maybe don't respect audiences that much. But anyways, we could talk about that later.
Maybe want them to be smoothed out a little. And then someone else asked, can y'all explain Alice Rivers? Which I feel like we will talk about that when we get to Harrenhal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
And
next
then-
we have this Rhaenyra, the scene with Rhaenyra and Rhaenys. Going into that scene from the Blackwood, the Blackwood Bracken, the Burning Mill battle carnage, we get Jace specifically getting hot-headed because
he's Daemon coded.
he's seething right now, and it's
spent too
cool
much
to
time
see.
with Daemon. Like, and too much. Saying that.
It can be a good and a bad thing
Mhm.
because I feel like Jace does have a little bit more balance to his
He's Rhaenyra
character
too.
and
Because he's
Daemon.
Rhaenyra too.
I feel like he has the best aspects of both of his
Okay.
parents, with his
Yeah.
stepfather and his mother. Like he's taking both.
Which is like, sorry, something just popped up. Similar to what the showrunners have said about Bela as well. Like she's the best of her parents,
Yes.
theoretically.
Oh, yeah.
So I
She
see
has
those two
humans-
being each other.
You know what though? I feel, because I was just about to say she has like Daemon's ferocity and stuff, but Lena was fucking ferocious. Damn it! I just
Yeah.
kind of feel like she is Lena's daughter. Like,
Yeah.
and kind
Yeah.
of fuck Daemon in that regard. Like, honestly, like,
Yeah. what does
particularly
Daemon bring
in
to
the
the
show.
table
Like,
in-
we're talking about the show. We can have a different conversation about the things that are in Fire and Blood, but we are talking about the show, and in that respect, like, she's Lena's daughter. Like, that
Yeah.
woman made the decision, I am not dying this stereotypical woman's death. I am a fucking dragon rider. I am bonded to a dragon. Like,
Right.
and I feel so passionately about the woman dragon bond right now because I'm like so deep in that series.
Fertility.
Yes,
Yeah.
your series is opening a lot of eyes right now. It's great to see.
Thanks. Yeah, so that was totally in my notes. Jace is getting impatient. He's like, he's going to start not listening to mom. He's going to start doing what he thinks is best. Which, I mean, we kind of see everyone doing, like, and that's another conversation to have, is like kind of everyone but Rhaenys is actively undermining Rhaenyra right now. Like, even Bela, I like what Bela did. I would have done the same exact thing, but that is not what Rhaenyra asked Bela to do.
Correct.
And so, like,
in her defense, like Rhaenyra would have done the same thing. Had she seen it, like she would have reacted the same way.
Yeah.
And that's what I see what you're saying, that she definitely like went against what Rhaenyra specifically told her to do. But in that moment, you see Kristen Cole and you're like,
it's what I would have done.
I gotta
It's
get it.
100% what
I
would have
gotta
done,
get
but I'm just pointing out that, like, even her closest allies, the people who love her and respect her rule, are in their own little ways undermining her. There's really no one who's like not questioning her except for Rhaenys. And when people are questioning her, she's like, "Shut the absolute fuck up! This is your queen."
Mhm.
I could have lived without the Jaehaerys. Like, Jaehaerys just gets so, in this world. The comparison between Rhaenys gives that little like speech to the council where she's like,
Jaehaerys.
she wears the crown of the conciliator. Like, okay, I get it, but I'm also just like, over it.
Same. I get it. It's playing to that audience, definitely, to who she's talking to.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah,
to
which
me,
is
I'm
smart.
like,
That's
yeah.
true. That's a good strategy. She's like, but I love how she called out, like, Aegon the Conqueror died, and like he didn't rule very long, and like he's not really the like king you want to emulate.
Right.
He's a conqueror, for fuck's sake. He wasn't like a ruler. He was a conqueror, which is like a whole conversation about Daenerys we can have. Another.
Okay, can we talk about some of the dynamics that are happening right now between Aemond and Aegon? Because I really, like, I've talked to you guys about it before in our group text, but I feel, and I've talked about it in my Crown series as well, is that I think that Aemond is going to come to Rook's Rest late, and I think it's going to be deliberate.
Okay, sorry, Ashley. Do we want to like, because we'll get to it. Do we want to like stay on? I'm just wondering how closely we want to stick to like how it played out. 'Cause,
Yeah,
like, in the past we've gotten sidetracked and done 5-hour lives. So,
it's true.
Okay.
like, we'll circle back to it. We're definitely going to talk
make
about it.
We gotta
But-
make it quick because I don't know if I have all the time.
Okay, then you do the thing that you need to.
Oh no. We can definitely stick on topic. I just want to get through it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll get through everything. The next thing was the next scene we have is Kristen's scene with Alicent and Gawain's introduction. One thing I really liked just off the top was the small detail of the chain. No, not Gawain. Sorry, we still have the small council, but Kristen's up next, and that was when I noticed his chain, which is like that to me is another example of the show trying to build up the books, because I'm pretty sure everyone here is aware of theories that involve the hand chain, which are going to be important for the end game of the main series. So
I'm not.
I love
I'm not
seeing
cool.
it.
I'll look it up on my own time, though. You don't have to educate me. I will not make you do that labor.
It's got to do with
The Hand of the King pin isn't in the show. It's the chain of the link of hands, like the hands linking with one another, and it's got significant. It'll play a huge role in the main series.
yeah. People
Okay,
think
I
it's
love
got
that.
to do with Jamie and Cersei near the end, because
Oh.
how is a one hand younger brother gonna
Valentine.
strangle her?
Okay, fab. I love to hear that. I'm glad I'm glad I hopped on this live before I make my highlight video, because I was going to be like, wow, interesting direction to go with the chain instead of the pin, because Cole is always wearing his armor, so like where would he put the pin was my thought from a practical standpoint. But now I'm glad I didn't say that, because
Well,
I think that's still a good point.
I think that's true as
still a really
well,
good point.
because it looks so much better than
It does.
trying to get the hand pin on the armor, I think.
Yeah.
yes.
Also,
Also,
the
though,
question, you guys, about
The hands linking, though, I think it's really interesting. It almost makes you think that instead of like the hands wrapping around her throat, that it could be the chain. That like that prediction of Cersei's death, that the Valancourt will wrap his hands around your pale white throat. It
Yes.
kind of has me along the lines of thinking that that's going to be what kills Cersei ultimately, is the chain of hands, and that would definitely explain why Jamie only needs one hand, because he'd only need one hand to wrap that chain. And
we're like demonstrating Jesus. Okay.
really,
Me and Ashley move. Oh my God. Okay. Anyway.
In the
Okay.
comments, what
like
what was
like Chelsea and I are like, we've done this before.
what was the napkin that Alicent gave to
It was
Kristen?
her favor.
It was her favor, but like I didn't.
Did it have a note?
Was
in
it anything else?
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think it's like okay, so I think that there's a power dynamic going on between the two of them. Alicent is trying to get the upper hand while Kristen is as well, and it's going back and forth. Like they're playing this little game with each other right now. And I mean, we often, every time we see them in a intimate moment, Alicent is in the position of power.
Yep.
And I think that that's very important to her, because she has to be able to control what she can. And I think that we see that as well, like outside of the bedroom, because her sending her brother with Kristen is not something that he wants, but she's doing it anyway, especially now that he has usurped Otto. That is a big problem for Alicent. Like they're still doing things together, but she has a very huge problem with Kristen doing that. And she knows that he's hugely responsible for it. So they're going back and forth in this power dynamic. And I think that him asking for the favor was kind of another one of those like, oh, I'm going to try to make my own power grab.
Yeah.
And it's like because he asked for Rhaenyra's favor at the tournament, and then they do bring up the tournament from season 1 later on in the episode.
Yeah, I mean,
as
the
last-
tournament's pretty damn significant.
I think that's a really interesting take on the power dynamic symbolism. I also just felt like Kristen still wants, I don't know if you got this vibe, I think he still has guilt and he wants absolution, and maybe feels like he's like humbling himself before the mother kind of thing. And then I saw a flash in Allison's eyes when she's giving the favor, where she's like, yeah, bitch, you can't do this part without me. Where it's like, yeah, if you want a feminine blessing, she's like, you still have to ask that
Appeal
from
to me.
you. Like, I still
Yeah.
have to surrender that to you, and I could withhold it. It's kind of, but she's also like socially obligated, I think, to give it to him when it's asked. So I don't know. There's a lot to unpack there, but it's
Well,
interesting.
I think some of the dynamic that you see when she's giving the favor is from earlier in the council, which I wanted to ask you guys, do you think they are setting up Jasper to deflect? Because he is very
He keeps having comments.
outspoken about his criticisms of what they're doing. And it's like every scene he's in, he has a criticism of what the council is doing.
And
Yeah.
sassy.
Yeah.
like,
And so I'm
really
just wondering,
outspoken.
like,
So
are they
sassy.
setting that up for betrayal? Like, is he going to be involved in, spoiler, the poisoning of Aegon? Like, I feel like they're setting up all these, like, people, like, so he told his son to ride Tylan like a pony. He's got Jasper, who's constantly undermining him in a sassy way in court. Like he's killing all the rat catchers in their family. So they're setting up like all these people who are going to hate him,
Yeah.
and like who could potentially play a role in his downfall.
Speaking of, this is kind of similar to that, but just like the vein of all the characters getting exactly what they wanted. I love Kristen having to walk by his new knights that he hasn't met, who are just like hanging about.
And they kind of don't give a fuck about
That
him.
they're
Yeah.
also like, it was, as he was walking by, I was like, wait a minute, those are Aegon's lackeys. This is incredible. I love this.
In the comments, someone said Rhaenyra is losing her grip on the council, but like so is Aegon, which is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. And I think the point
actually
of this,
go as far as to
this
say-
is how much of this is out of their control now. It doesn't matter. Like, so we're gonna get Alicent saying that Viserys' wishes died with him, and it's like now that Aegon is on the throne, now that that is said and done, it's out of their fucking hands. Like, there are certain things that have happened and can't turn back. And so both of them, like, being undermined by their councils is just representative of that. Like, in my opinion.
Speaking of Jasper, what we were just talking about Jasper, I love that in the last line when Aegon's like, I'm as fearsome as any of them. They cut to Jasper just grabbing his goblet, like,
It's very
I'm not prepared for this.
Yeah.
It was so Varys when when Joffrey says, I am the king, and Varys like, ugh, like he spit on him or something, while he was screaming.
The shade. The
But
shade.
yeah, once again, it's all of them getting exactly what they wanted.
Well,
Scab
I
sausage.
really do think that Rhaenyra probably has a better grasp of it than Aegon does, because Aegon just is very, like, he's war hungry. And it's so funny to see the opposite effects happening here. Like, Aegon's like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And his council's like, let's not, let's,
And hers
like,
is like,
even,
go.
you even have Laris over here, like maybe don't. Like, Laris is literally feeding him lies to be like, maybe,
Laris.
like, don't take the dragon out, because he knows that Aegon is stupid and easily manipulated. But then you've got Rhaenyra over here saying, I don't really want to do that. Like, dragons going to war, that doesn't make sense. And this is why Rhaenys is such a Rhaenyra fangirl right now. She's like, I am backing you. I
yeah.
hear you. This is what I would have done as queen. I love you for that. Like, I think that there's a lot of complicated feelings. Like, and people forget this. Like, Rhaenys probably still like feels some type of way towards Rhaenyra about Laenor, but at the same time, she's like, you know what? These are the things that I would have done. These are the things I would have said. So I am going to back her in this, and I am going to like put my faith in her. But her council, Rhaenyra's council, reminds me a lot of Book Daenerys' council. Book Dany, like, her council
Unleash
is
the
like,
dragon. Yeah, you're right.
like, let's take these dragons and let's burn them. And Dany's like, but I don't want to do that. And Rhaenyra, I love that they are showing, like, you can tell these people read the books. You can just tell, because they are emulating Book Daenerys in Rhaenyra's
In
behavior.
Rhaenyra, oh my god.
They're
Okay,
saying, whoa, wait a minute, I don't want to do it.
I will save this for the end. But there is a line that we're going to get from Rhaenyra. It was in the trailer for the next episode, and it is like literally something Book Daenerys would say, and has said something similar to the effect of. But it's at the end, so I'll save it. But don't let me forget.
But you can tell, you can just tell the difference, and it reaffirms what I always believed, is that D&D really didn't read the books. They might have read like the first two, but they didn't really read anything after that. And I feel like these showrunners have actually read the books, because
You're working with George.
you can feel it. And yeah, you can just, there is a vast difference in Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon and what is happening here.
And I've had a couple of videos blow up, like, so go beyond like my usual audience of people who know me and know that I'm talking about the books, and that's like that's what I'm into, right? So I'm getting a lot of show only people, and I keep trying to tell them, because what they say is all this setup and they ruin Dany's character, and I'm like, this is not about Game of Thrones the show. This is about A Song of Ice and Fire, the books. And House of the Dragon is trying to say, forget about that. And they're setting up book Dany, who is the prince that was promised.
Yes.
Is book Daenerys. And I get it, like, I would agree that the show really tried to take the approach Game of Thrones, especially in the later seasons, that Jon is the prince who was promised. But that's not the book. And that's not what is true in the book. And House of the Dragon is letting you know. And this is George letting you know. His name is on the thing, right? Like, it says George R. R. Martin. Like, he's saying okay to these things.
And
yeah, so I really love how they're doing that. And it doesn't matter if House of the Dragon is contradicting Game of Thrones. I think that's the point.
That's the point. They're doing it. They're undermining
trying
Game
to
of
tell
Thrones.
you, throw out all of this. And listen, I don't like to speculate too much, but I really feel very strongly that Winds of Winter is coming very soon. I just feel like the signs are there.
Nope,
Like,
nope.
wildly
Nope.
Stop it, Eric, you Capricorn realist weirdo. Stop it.
No.
Like, go away with your pessimistic attitude. No.
There's speculation that he's going to go to this big con in August and make an announcement.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, I will
World
not
Con,
dive into the speculation.
and it's after the show. It's after the show airs.
After
So,
the show.
has anybody been to his house to find out what the dragon cake was for?
Knock, knock. George, where's that cake?
I'm telling you right now, if he doesn't announce it at this con, it's gonna get weird, man. I'm gonna show up to his house, and it's gonna get like it's gonna be like that one movie, and I'm not gonna be able to stop myself.
where is my slice of cake, George? We heard about the dragon cake.
Exactly.
Where is
I'm
it?
gonna sit there, and I'm gonna be like, "You're gonna finish Winds right now, and we're not leaving this house until you finish."
When
I may go to prison afterwards, but I'm gonna have this book.
When I took the trip to New Mexico, I joked with the group that I was going to go find his house because he lives somewhere in Santa Fe.
It was a joke, you guys.
He's joking that I would find his
joke.
house.
I swear, like, we're not being serious here.
No, not at all.
You
I
gotta
promise
keep it
I would never.
Don't be weird. Don't get weird.
This is all
For legal
joke.
reasons.
Weird.
I don't trust
I
you.
would find George in the streets and badger him. We need wins. Oh, and also while you're signing that restraining order, can you make it out to Taryn, please?
I wanted to say something that I've said before, but I wanted to just confirm and get your take. George is not just a novelist; like, he was a television writer. Yes, like most of his writing, if I'm not mistaken, was television writing. So I've never understood why he was not, I don't know, leaned upon more heavily, I suppose, for Game of Thrones. I mean, I guess I understand why, but it's like, anyway, I guess I should just be thankful House of the Dragon seems to be respecting that is his background, and the man knows how to write an arc. Like,
He knows what he's
knows
doing.
how television works.
It sounds like HBO doesn't want his ideas because he says all the time how he wanted to start the dance with Aemon and Balon, which is like, that's adding like another season of television, which I don't think that I want
Which
to be a
I
part
think
of.
would have made more sense. I think
It would have. Yes, absolutely.
so much more sense to have this start during Jaehaerys's reign. Like, for me, I would have liked to have seen that. So
I wonder if they didn't think it would make as compelling of like television, because like the dance.
I'm telling y'all, I'm
like,
fairly
the
convinced. I
dance
don't.
is kind of,
I don't
mean,
have anything like real to base this on, but it just seems like from the 172 years before Daenerys Targaryen, because of the costumes that all look like her, this is all like marketing to tie it back to the most popular part of the series, which was Daenerys, and breaking it down to those fundamental aspects, which is blonde hair, lady, and dragon, and action. So it's like they really wanted just blonde people blowing fire at each other on Dragonback, and you don't have that until basically the middle of the story. So it's like you would have had to make it a different. It would have had to have been way closer to like Downton Abbey for the first 2 seasons before HBO got what they want, which is why I'm a little hopeful for Dunk and Egg, because there are no dragons and there's way
It's like
smaller
set.
scale action.
There's going to be a beginning and an end, like very distinctly, because there's a beginning and an end.
And hopefully cheaper.
Huh?
Hopefully it's cheaper as well, so they'll learn.
Dragons,
People
fair.
want drama, not
Oh, it'll be
spectacle.
significally cheaper. It'll be
Yeah.
significantly cheaper.
Good point.
And then-
Which means
Okay, so what's the next scene, guys?
Well, back to the episode, I wanted to bring something up because we were in the small council scene, and I wanted to ask Sumali about her Alicent dress project, because she was bringing up that we were noticing some similarities between the project, because you've been working on this project for a while now, correct?
I have, and I don't. I said earlier, and I'll say it in public too. I'm spooked. I'm like a little spooked by how I designed a costume last summer during the strikes, and I was like, this is what I would have liked to see based on Fire and Blood, and I just designed things I liked that I thought worked for Alicent, and then literally every single one of those design elements is showing up this season consistently across the board in all of Alicent's costumes. So I'm really glad I waited to make it. Yeah, it's creepy. Eric said I'm a dreamer. I'm not a dragon dreamer. I'm a dress dreamer.
And you're in their walls.
Watching your page.
I am in the walls.
You are in their walls.
Just like Tyrion.
That
I subscribe to your TikTok.
from Chelsea's page.
What's that?
It's like someone is watching your page, just like we hope that George watches Chelsea's page.
Gotta be. Yeah, George definitely watches Chelsea's page. Yeah, so I mean, like timing wise, I mean, I think it could come off like I'm saying like, oh, they copied my design. It's not that at all. I'm just like, oh, so there was something good about what I picked, because they also, separate minds, but parallel ideas, which is really cool. Stealing from you, Sumali. Thanks, babe. Yeah.
I really can't. I can't wait for this project to be done, because your first Alicent dress was really like I said that for the longest time I thought your avatar was just Olivia Cook, and it was because of the dress.
Thank you. No, it's just me being goofy, like behind the scenes Olivia photos. Because I don't know if you noticed, I have a really hard time as a cosplayer posting any serious photos in costume. Like I'm not good at being the character. I'm only good at being like,
I made the thing, damn it. I made it. And I'm trying to show
I'm like, so yes, thank you. I appreciate the encouragement. I'm sure you guys know I'm excited to make it. I'm hoping I have a deadline set that at the end of this season, I'll have the dress done.
Yay.
Saying that in public makes me super nervous, but yeah, I'm hoping that'll be, and I still work a little bit at a time on the chain embroidery, because she's, spoiler alert, the queen in chains. So I'm looking forward to incorporating those motifs. And yeah, I hope you guys like it. We'll see. I have nothing really to show you.
Speaking of deadlines, the other thing you did for this series that was crazy, I can see it in the back right there, your banner that you did in 24 hours.
Yes, I did this in less than 24 hours, and it's it's a treat. It was a napkin.
In the comments, Sam said you're the seamstress shrinking Cersei's dresses. It's you.
Yeah.
You outed her. How could you do it, Sam?
Yeah, how could you do that? She's like probably gonna have me killed, since I'm also the one in the walls. I'm both.
Yes. Cersei's coming for you, girl. Like,
right, that's right. That's really sweet. I like that. Yeah.
Okay, so what's the next?
You guys anyway, yeah, let's move on. But thank you.
Next up, we have
I think I might
Mysaria.
have an hour left, you guys.
Yeah, we have Mysaria talking to Rhaenyra. I wanted to ask, do we trust Mysaria? Do we trust what she's saying?
No.
I watched that scene twice.
I don't wanna.
I trust what. Okay, so with Mysaria, it's kind of like Varys. I mean, she's the reason why Varys exists at all. Like
The original.
She walked so Varys could run. So I feel that no, you can't trust her. But I do feel that she is on Rhaenyra's side, at least for now.
Yeah, for now.
Because she's going to side with this, she wants to side with Rhaenyra because Rhaenyra is of sound mind at the moment. But like I told you guys, as soon as Jacaerys dies, that's all going to go out the window. I think that that's going to be Rhaenyra's breaking point and where we're going to see the crazy.
It's gonna get messy.
Because at what point in time, like, how much do you have to lose before you finally lose it? And for me, I know that that would be my breaking point. Losing a third child would be it.
You see this from Cersei and before your eyes, like the literal path of just darkness that takes her after she loses literally.
Yeah, I agree with this comment. She's the enemy of her enemy, Rhaenyra, for Mysaria. And also, like, I think that everything Mysaria told Rhaenyra about her motivations right now are true. That right now, Rhaenyra makes the most sense for the people that Mysaria cares about, which are the small folk of King's Landing. That is where her interests lie. And so long as she feels Rhaenyra's interests are the same, she will do what she needs to do to support and install Rhaenyra. But if she feels that changes, she's out without even thinking twice about it.
Keeping her at arm's length as you do Varys. You just keep them.
Okay, so that scene though, can we talk about sea smoke? Because
I was about to say, that's the next big part of this scene.
Yeah, I feel like sea smoke, something has happened to Laenor. I'm sorry, but it is odd that sea smoke is behaving that way. And she said that specifically, like, sea smoke is the one who is being the most odd right now. Like, he's out of sorts. And I think that something, as bad as it is, I think something horrible has happened to Laenor and that he's gone.
That's the way they would open it up for Adam to come through.
Exactly. Like, and I'm excited. I'm sad that, like, Laenor possibly lost his life because I really just wanted that happily ever after for him, or a reappearance of his character would have been cool as well. But I think that unfortunately something has happened because they had to open the door for Adam somehow, because we saw that one scene in the last episode where we have Adam looking at sea smoke with that sense of longing, and it's like, yeah, like they gotta free up sea smoke somehow.
Yeah,
they're building it up. I wonder what they're going to do, because I go back and forth with those last two lines where Mysaria says that he looks lonely. You know, that to me pointed to, and then they cut back to Rhaenyra, that pointed to the scheme to send Laenor away. So in that sense, sea smoke is lonely. I don't know if it's directly saying he's dead yet, but we'll see. So I thought they were just going to completely disregard that, and I would have been fine with it. So I'm interested to see what they're actually going to do with the Dragon Lore.
I prefer they stick with it. I think
Laenor, though, if he's still alive, like Cecil could like just go find him.
Oh, honey nymph in the chat here. No one thinks Laenor will come back. That was my original theory. I still kind of want that, but I don't think
it's going to happen. But yes, you know, what I was saying is that can Sea Smoke go find Laenor? And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. If Laenor was alive and he was just missing Laenor, and they're so connected, which we're supposed to believe from the bond, he wouldn't just sit idly where Laenor is not.
Right.
Like, I very much feel like it's alluding to Laenor being dead.
That's true. Because why wasn't there ever like the Harry and the Henderson scene with Laenor and Sea Smoke where he's like, "You get out of here, nobody likes you."
Like Nymeria, like you had to. He had to make her go away. Like, we should have seen that, if you know. And so I very much think that Laenor is dead. Like, I think that that's what it's alluding to, and I again appreciate that it is sticking to the lore that's been established. I like that. It would have thrown me off. I would have criticized.
I was going to hate it
to have him have two writers. I would have criticized that decision.
Same.
Yeah. Okay, what's the next scene?
The next scene we're coming up, Chelsea. I think you deserve to do a victory lap because we come upon the dragon scene, the dragon egg scene, which you have been saying since the first trailer.
Since May.
Eggs.
Hey, and I had so many people say, that's ridiculous. It's symbolism. It's symbolism, bitch. It's literal. And I've been telling you since the beginning.
It's a big fuck you to everybody.
Seriously.
From the time we saw this image that it came out, Chelsea was like, "Those are Dany's eggs."
So okay,
and I was like, "Yeah, she's down."
Do you guys think George told him Dany's eggs came from Cyrex? Yes, but I do not think that changes what is true in the book. I think in the canon of the book, George established it was Dreamfire, but that does not make sense for this show. And the show wanted to tie things back to Dany. And the most sensible way to do that was to have it be Cyrex. And I think, yes, George co-signed that. But I don't think we should be upset about it because it's still true in the book of Dreamfire, in my opinion, because that was what was established. Like,
I think it's more poetic for the show, and I think it's brilliant. Like, really, I mean, it's obviously it's Dreamfire in the books, but I think it's so cool that it's Cyrax in the show because it's like that Dany's dragons came from Rhaenyra's dragon. That's so special. Like,
what's so poetic, and Chelsea's been screaming this from the mountaintops forever, is the fact that Rhaenyra is like entrusting Rhaena with the legacy of the line.
Oh my god, I almost cried. Because what does she exactly say? She says, "Should all come to ruin here, you will bear our hope for the future." And Daenerys in Welsh means Lady of Light, Lady of Hope. Like, Rhaenyra is looking at the audience, breaking the fourth wall, basically, and being like, these are Dany's eggs, and she is the prince that was promised.
Exactly. I screamed to Chelsea.
Next, we go into Daemon and Harrenhal. Now, Daemon and Harrenhal, I was pleasantly surprised by Harrenhal because I was like, finally, we have the spooky castle from the books. Like, as soon as the box starts going through, I'm like,
love the horror element. I love the element of horror. And Chelsea, you've said this before, and I completely agree. Like, George needs to get into horror after he finishes A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, not yet.
Please,
After.
for the love of the old gods and new, George, do not get any ideas. Finish your series. But after that, if you want to dip your toes into horror, I feel like he kind of already has. And Harrenhal is just so spooky, and it's giving off all the vibes. And like, oh my gosh, it's so scary and suspenseful. And I'm so excited to see how this all plays out because I feel like Alice has an alternative plan to what people have always said, like how she's portrayed in Fire and Blood. I don't think she's ever been on Aemon's side. I don't think she's on either side. I think she's on her own side, and
I think we should throw out just about everything we think we know about Alice from the book. Because
what I am excited about, I am excited to see a witch in the show, and not only that, but it's like I said to you guys this morning, too many times when we see witches portrayed in media, they're like evil or funny or goofy, and it's like, I really like that they have Alice doing something that Daemon deserves. I mean, Daemon deserves it. Like, he deserves to be haunted by that.
Especially after he pulls that whole "your grace" bit.
Oh yeah,
like, you are the king consort, honey. Like, you are not the king.
Yeah, get over it.
And I love
well,
that we have
hold
Alice
on.
humbling him. And
that was a question I had.
Are they setting up that Daemon's going to co-opt this army for himself?
And I like that we're seeing Alice not being completely mistreated by her family because we have this idea from people that, oh, she was so grateful to Aemon for taking them all out. No, she wasn't. No, she wasn't. I have a complicated relationship with my family, and I can tell you right now, if someone came in and murdered them all, I would not love them for it. Like,
well, and from what you see of Simon and the people there, like they don't seem terrible.
No,
they seem reasonable, rational. She was there with them. She didn't bow. Like,
yeah, she's there in the Lord's Tower.
She's fine. Like, she's doing okay. It doesn't seem like they're pressing her too bad, especially not compared to some guy who's going to come in and slaughter her whole family and then be like, have my baby. Like,
right.
We have a question. What is the term for king consort?
Well, your prince. The guy had it right the first time. Simon had it right when he called him your prince. You continue to call him your prince, right?
This is what I was confused by because like Cersei is a your grace and she's a consort. So it's like how does it work for men? And that's one thing in the that's different in the series is that they are king consorts, whereas in real world, like because it's based on the British monarchy, they're prince consorts. So it's like there is that change.
So this goes back to Book Catelyn. Book Catelyn kind of pointing out that, like, especially when people like nitpick her, like when Brienne is like, you should say you're
sorry to interrupt. I'm gonna go back in soon, so I will be more infrequent. So
okay.
Okay.
Continue, please.
So when Book Catelyn kind of says, you know, like this is like the formalities, like that's not really important right now. I think that goes back to what she said. It's like nitpicking and being like, oh, it's your grace. Like, yes, technically it is, but also why are you nitpicking right now?
What
Like,
is hilarious is that
Yeah.
in The Crown, Matt Smith literally plays, like, he does the same bit in The Crown being Philip. He's like, Elizabeth has to do, like, some sort of, like, paperwork to make him, like, king consort instead of Prince Philip. He's now, I think he is still Prince Philip, but he is addressed as Your Grace instead of my lord, or whatever they do.
right.
So
I think
Damon
Damon is being childish. Damon is being childish and absolutely ridiculous. He's upset that Rhaenyra is mad at him, even though it's his own fault, and he's just being a dick right now. So there you go.
Something else I thought was really interesting about. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm done. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Something else I thought was really interesting about that scene with the conversation with Damon and Simon was how he was like, you need to respect your liege lord no matter his condition. Like, that very much was like, he's talking about Viserys. Like, he took that shit personally, because he was like, this whole thing is about how they undermined my brother while he was ill and unwell. And so it was just very much like, I immediately was like, oh, you're talking about Viserys.
That's a good point.
I could see that. I could see that too. Like, I don't hate every aspect of Damon. I tell you guys all the time that I do like Damon's character, and it's a complicated thing because I'm like, yeah, you deserve to get kind of crapped on, but also at the same time, like, when he makes like little corrections like that, it's like, oh man, it's emotional because I understand where he's coming from.
Right. I know this is probably like dangerous to say out loud. I am like terrified of Damon, just like growing up as a people pleaser, insecure, like, just really like always doing whatever people tell me to all the time. And this was the first time I really was so engaged and interested in Damon's like side quest, because for the first time I was like, I can see him really spooked and
He's
a little bit
this time.
yeah, he's a little bit vulnerable. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh, Damon, like for the first time. And I know most people love Damon, so maybe maybe not most people.
No,
anyway,
you're not.
it's a tricky subject, but in general, sorry,
Like,
I was just,
I completely agree with you. He's one of those characters, like, do I hate him? Do I like him? Like, but I think that's how George meant him to be. Like, he meant it to be a love-hate relationship that the viewer and the reader has with this character. You go back and forth.
it's very charged, and I definitely appreciate that. I just it's funny, I just felt this total shift this episode where I was like, whoa, I feel like I've never seen Damon not be confident before. And like when he woke up and he was in front of that werewood, and when he saw young Rhaenyra, I just that was the acting. I was like,
Really?
I wasn't expecting it at all. Like I was sure that the humming, singing thing was Alice, right? That he was gonna.
Yes.
I was like, he's gonna fuck her. Like, I thought they were taking it in that direction, and I was like, not happy. So when he opened that door and we see that it's young Rhaenyra and she's confronting his ass about this shit in such a creepy way, like, I was stoked.
And he's like shaking. He's like.
I loved it. And I also love that he, like, that look of horror on his face when he realizes that this child looks like that because of what I did. Like, I'm not just seeing the horror and seeing young Rhaenyra. He is seeing what he caused his brother's grandchild, and he is horrified by what he did.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
he has to actually see what he's done. It's easy to do something behind, for modern example, behind a screen. It's easy to do shit, say shit that you would never do in person. It's like if he had to look at that child in the face and do what Blood and Cheese did, like, he'd feel differently about it. He wouldn't be so goddamn cavalier about the whole thing like he has been.
And
Which is a front. I think
that's why. I think that's why, because I know that we had gone back and we had, in the Blood and Cheese episode, we were all like, well, why would he send someone else to do it? I don't think Damon could do it. I don't think he had it in him to physically be a kinslayer. I don't think he had it in him. And I think he was aware that he could not do it. And I think the only time we really see Daemon Kinsley is at the end.
Exactly.
Like that, but he also goes out with Aemond. Like they go out together. So
Yeah.
I think that at the end of the day, Daemon, as someone who personifies this person who exudes confidence, was not able to physically do the act of killing Aemond. Even then. So even knowing what he did to Lucerys, he couldn't do it.
What did you guys think of the introduction of Gawain, or is that how you say it? The Alicent's brother.
Wilson's brother.
And how he was being so like racist and like shit about Kristen being Dornish. Because like the High Council and the Dornish people, they don't like each other and yada yada yada.
I'm
And
not
he
gonna
says,
lie,
like,
it felt very on brand for High Towers.
True.
Yeah, and he's like, your modest beginnings, and I've always wanted to march out to war with a Dornish man. Like, okay, we get it. And I did kind of, though I hate Kristen,
That
I
ties
do
back
love
into
that
what
he had
Alicent
that moment.
Alicent was trying to make Kristen uncomfortable because she's mad at him.
Yeah. But can't you just see, now that we're talking about this, I'm thinking back to Alicent the first time she sees Kristen, and she goes, oh, he's Dornish. And it's like, yeah, I can definitely see those siblings being raised the same way, like in this like racist household where they're like, yeah. And also, I think Wayne wants to fuck him a little bit too. Probably because he's Dornish. And it's from
Fair. That's fair.
I feel
And I
that.
was going to say, as much as I hate Kristen, I did love that he got this kind of like, yeah, fuck you moment. Not because it was for Kristen, but because it was against the Hightower guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm here for shade against my enemy, even if it's to the benefit of my enemy, I guess.
Hey Eric, what is the next scene?
The part about about him being Dornish was very funny to me because I've been deep in like the ethnicities of Dorne, because there's like three main ones. Like Kristen is not Dornish. Like he's from the Marches, so it's like calling me a Mexican because I live in Texas. It's like because even if I was
not
like
get into
naturally, even if I was just a Mexican, I would still be one of the white ones. So it's like
It's a good point.
it's very funny because
Comments
My
they just
mom is
pointed out
half
he's
Puerto
a
Rican and my dad is fully Cuban, but I was born here, so.
I love that.
Okay, what's the next scene?
what is next? Sorry, I'm away from my notes right now.
Okay, so we've discussed Harrenhal. So what comes after Harrenhal? What's the next scene?
Okay, then we have the intro to Alicent.
Well, then it's the introduction of the brother. Then it's the exchange of the token. And
Can I ask a question really fast? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I think I asked Eric this a long time ago before the season came out, but with this probably extended stay hotel, extended stay that Daemon is having at Harrenhal, and his interactions with Alice, do you think that contributes at all in like a honeypot kind of way? Like we said earlier that Alice is probably acting on her own agenda entirely, but do you think it's possible that she's a plant, or that she will be used as a plant, or Daemon would try to use her as a plant in terms of when Aemond inevitably shows up at Harrenhal? Is that kind of the real dynamic?
I don't think that Alice is team. Like, I don't think she's on either team. I really think that she is out for herself, and I think that I have had this theory for years now, since we had season 1. Just because ever since when I read Fire and Blood, it did not seem, like I said, a family annihilator. Like, Alice is not going to be in love with him. She's not. There's no Stockholm syndrome going on here, and I never considered her. I mean, yes, she is a victim, but also at the same time, she's not going to stay a victim. She's going to get this taken care of and do this for herself and get revenge for her family. I think this has always been and will be in the future of the show, her taking them down, both of them. I think that she orchestrated what happened with the God's Eye because she wanted it to be done. She was hoping they'd kill each other.
I love that. Okay, cool. I just wanted to ask.
I thought it was interesting how they showed that the rat catchers are still just rotting.
Yeah.
Despite what Otto had to say about it, like let him know, hey, this wasn't a very good idea. He's like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
But
idiot. He's an idiot. So
The crack
Episode
for
right
Team Green really showed this episode.
oh yeah.
I mean, I think the cracks showed for everybody this episode.
Okay, so
Oh
the
yeah, for sure did.
Between, you know, because the next scene, I think, is the whole Rhaenyra's council and everyone. I mean, that guy fucking laughed at her. Like, he laughed at
it's like-
her. Like, what?
like, excuse me,
What?
Who
We would
is
never-
that guy?
Right?
Okay,
Exactly. Like,
so
who
like
even
if I'm the queen and you laugh at me, that's gonna be the last time you laughed. So
for sure.
she's better than me. She's better than me because that would have been the last. Like I would have cut his tongue out and been like, okay,
Yeah.
you can laugh now.
Oh, going back to Otto being business, I love how Rainey's from the jump was like, yeah, Otto never would have signed off on the Eric Ard thing. Like, we can rule him out. That never would have happened. Like, they hate him, but they're so realistic about, like, his style, you know?
Yeah, and I love
Oh my
Rainey
gosh,
so much.
okay, Bellstar says, honestly, she's being weak. She deserved that laugh. I don't agree at all. I don't think she's
No,
being
not
weak.
at all.
No.
Not at all.
no.
That's an opinion. You can have that.
No.
So
He's not
speaking
being
of setup, that character that we're talking about, that is Sir Arthur Broom, who, if maybe,
The one that laughed at her?
yes, and that guy does, you know, something later on in the series,
Okay.
specifically at the end of the story. So
He's
it's like
being-
it's interesting
Rhaenyra's being
because
realistic.
I'm picking up kind of like Jorah, not specifically, but just the way that he is like trying to talk to her about this stuff. I always
okay.
saw, like, at least from narrative speaking, that those two characters were probably going to be mirrored because I'm expecting some kind of betrayal later on.
Okay, we have. I have 50 more minutes. What's the next scene?
Next
I just
scene
don't. I don't
is-
want to miss any of it.
Next scene
Okay,
is
so-
Rainey's and Corley's at the
Yeah, and the only thing I want to say about that is, do you think that it's setting up that he's going to name Adam or Alan his heir? Because, like, he is being very staunchly against naming one of the girls,
Yeah, that was weird.
right? Like, so is he going to legitimize one of them?
Right, and that's why I'm thinking maybe they're not even his kids. So I will see. That's I'm still
I'm
like,
really
every
curious
time
how
I
that
keep getting
plays
a
out
hint that they're
because-
not his kids.
And I'm curious how that plays out because, you know, the only reason Valerians are able to ride dragons and bond with dragons is because they've got Targaryen blood. So if Alan and Adam are able to bond, well, I mean, Adam anyway, Alan tries, are able to bond with dragons, like, where is that blood coming from? Because it can't be the Valerian blood.
Right.
I
So it
would
has to
even
be
be
his mother.
surprised.
His mother is where it's coming from then. If he were Corley's bastard, then the mother has to have some kind of Valyrian
I
dragon
bel-
blood.
Right, even if he was Corlys's bastard, it would have been the mother anyways.
Next scene is for you, Chelsea. It's the egg scene.
Thanks. Well, we kind of already talked about it.
Yeah, we already went over. Yeah, we went over that one.
I love that scene. I just want to touch on. I loved like the fashion specifically for that scene. I don't know why that one in particular stuck out to me, but like I was looking at everyone's outfit and I was like, oh, they really decided to turn it out for this scene.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I actually, taking pictures of my TV physically has turned out to be a lot easier than taking screenshots and then moving them around and blah, blah, blah. And in that scene, I did find myself taking pictures of groupings of people because everything is just so harmonious now. When you, in that scene particularly. Also, can we get a shout out to the lighting in this episode as well?
Yes.
Whether they were outside scenes, the fireside scenes, I just felt like directional lighting and the type of lighting and level was so moody and was so good. And it really made those costumes, even in early morning light, look really plausible, believable, grounded, and everything's just moving so well. So yeah, I noticed that too. I loved it in that scene, actually.
I also like how, really quick before we move on to the next one, how Bela is really starting to look like Rhaenyra and how she dresses. Like, you can definitely tell Rhaenyra is like, I am setting you up. I am setting you up. Like, she's wanting Bela to take her place.
To be a queen, yeah, to be a good queen for Jace. That's what she wants.
That's where we see the staunch difference between Viserys and
Yep.
Rhaenyra, is that Rhaenyra is preparing
Both
Bela
of them.
and
Both of them, not just her heir, but the consort of her heir. Like, that's
Yeah,
impressive.
like she wants, and not only that, but I would like to also point that out for Daemon as well. Like Daemon, this is one of those aspects where you hate him, you like him, like there's mixed feelings here. Daemon is grooming Jace. He's like, I am getting you ready for this. Like, I want you to be tough. I want you to be strong, where Rhaenyra is like, I want you to be logical. So he's getting that passion from Daemon. Like I've told you guys, Daemon is a very passionate thinker. And this is a weakness that I have. And it's something that I have to rein in a lot because I'd say I'm about 80% passion and about 20% logic. So I have to like rein in myself sometimes and have to remember, oh, let's take that 20% of logic. Let's try to pull it over. But that's where Daemon is like, I need you to be stronger. I need you to be more like aggressive and assertive. Whereas Rhaenyra is about 80% logic and 20% passion. And she is thinking, hey, like, I need you to use your brain. I need you to think about this. And I love that they are both grooming Baela and Jace to be excellent rulers for the future.
So I think in the comments they're kind of having a little side conversation about like Rhaenyra is her passiveness, weakness, blah blah. And I think this episode is where we're teetering. It's like we as the audience are getting sick of it, and everyone around her is getting sick of it. And this is also the lesson that Dany is learning. This is very much reflective again of book Dany. This is exactly where she's at where we leave her in the books. She has been trying over and over for peace, and they will not let her. Because she can't do what she needs to do without fire and blood. And I just, like, I think that we are going to see a very different Rhaenyra from here on out. Because she's exhausted all her resources. Like, I know everyone hates the Alicent scene, but this was the last ditch fucking ever. Like, that's how desperate she is to avoid further bloodshed of her family, of her realm. Mm-hmm. She was willing to meet with her, like, enemy. Like, her enemy.
She risked her life in that moment. Alicent was like, all I have to do is scream, and then you're dead.
She did what Daemon wasn't even willing to do. She did it her damn self. So, let's not talk about her.
And like, and people, okay, I'll save that for at the end. Because I really want to talk about that scene so bad.
The next scene is Helaena, and like, I fucking love Helaena.
Oh my gosh.
I love her portrayal. I love everything about what they've done with Helena's character. I have no notes.
She has this like empathy for the small folk that no one else does. No one, not even Rhaenyra. She's like, how can I'm sad that my son is gone, but like, isn't this the reality of all of the small folk? Like, babes die. Like, they're so delicate, and why am I going to sit here and cry when these these women, these peasant women, are losing their babies every day? Like,
it's so neurodivergent coded to the way that she rationalizes her emotions. Like, she can't experience emotion, but she can understand the emotion. Like, she's rationalizing it, because that's also the only way she can survive it. Like, if she doesn't rationalize it, if she fully feels it, it will kill her, and it does eventually, because she won't be able to rationalize forever.
Right.
But like, I love where they're going with her character as well. It's so emotional.
The only thing that I would say that I wish we got with Helaena is the Dreamfire bond. The lack of Dreamfire in general, you know, because I'm one of those that was really attached to Dreamfire in the book, still am. I'm standing firmly. They're not the same canon.
Well, especially since, you know, the whole eggs being Dreamfire thing is not happening. It's like Dreamfire is almost like the most underdeveloped character that I didn't expect to be underdeveloped. You know, like there was, you know, he had a role, and they've just taken it and they've divided it up and chopped it up amongst other people and
I mean,
dragons.
She dies in the dragon pit, so it's not like she dies in a battle. Like, we're being more heavily introduced to the dragons who are going to be actively fighting in this. Yeah.
Speaking of the, like, I like the line that Helaena has where she's talking about, like, you know, I'm sure the small folk lose their kids more than highborn ladies.
Yeah.
I like that the show is bringing more of that aspect into it, because it was very much in the background, except for like the Rhaenys dragon pit scene.
Right.
We're getting, especially with, maybe we can move on now to the Ulf scene and the revelation of his parentage, maybe.
Oh, here we go.
The next scene is Aegon in the Conqueror's armor.
Okay.
Oh yes, right before that, that was very funny. I loved the armor.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, this goes back to my Crown series, and really quick, and I'm just gonna like have my little snippet, and then you guys can go. But like, it's like Aegon the Conqueror, and Aegon the Second probably have plenty in common. And the reason why, like him wearing the Conqueror's crown, Aegon wearing the Conqueror's crown makes so much sense because he's taking something that doesn't belong to him, just as the Conqueror did. The Conqueror had no right to Westeros; he just took it. And that's what is happening with Aegon II. He just took it. And anyone who wears that crown is taking something that does not belong to them, is coveting something that does not belong to them. And that's what it is. So him wearing this armor, it's very fitting. It makes entirely too much sense, actually, especially when we consider that the Conqueror wasn't really a badass. It was all Visenya and Rhaenys. So
yeah, and that connects also.
You go ahead, yeah.
Sorry. That connects also to just Rhaenyra wearing the crown that she wears. You know, again, making those Jaehaerys references. It's like they are reflective of their ruling styles. Sorry, go ahead, Raina.
Well, and it's like how Dany has her own crown that no other Targaryen has worn because everything comes back to Dany.
It's a virgin crown. Yeah, exactly.
It's a crown, like, I love that Daenerys' crown embodies a lot of what we see in the book-accurate crown of Jaehaerys, Viserys, and Rhaenyra. Like, the book-accurate crown is the one that's a golden, like, just loop, and it's got the gemstones all around it. And you see that Dany's crown is similar to that one, in that it does have the gemstones. But I love that the dragons were included, and I think that that George included the dragons this time with Dany's crown because she is bringing back the legacy that her ancestors destroyed.
Well, and he's also saying, hi, she's the three-headed dragon. It's one person. It's her. Just one.
I loved the Aegon armor thing because when the still came out of him and Larys talking, everyone was like, why does he look so small?
I like how he's like, I have the name, I have this, like, the sword and the crown or whatever, so I'm gonna have the armor, and I'm like, and you're gonna look goofy. Like, you look so silly.
Don't look goofy.
Yes, a kid in his dad's armor.
But it was
for me, it comes down to Aegon being like a little kid. Like, he behaves like a little kid in the council, he looks like a little kid in the armor, like, he just is a little brat, a little spoiled asshole. Like,
he's a short king. Like, armor is hard to carry. Like, it just is what it is. I will say that in this scene, also, he's missing the pauldrons. So in later scenes, and you can see in the BTS that there's shoulder pieces that really balance the proportions of the suit. But I think they left them off when they were doing the scene specifically so that he looked a little incomplete and he looked a little awkward because he's playing dress up. Let's face it, he's not the conqueror.
Yeah. Aegon is so unserious, but I always say that about the conqueror himself as well. Like, everybody's like, oh, Aegon the Conqueror, and I'm like, Visenya and Rhaenys, babe. Like, it even says it in Fire and Blood.
Exactly.
It's these two women. They were running the show while he kind of sat back. Like, he brought Valerion in as necessary, and that's it.
It's like the family, the human family, all come from Rhaenys' line, and the dragon family all comes from Vhagar's line. All about the women. It's all about the women.
It's what it is. Like, okay. So next scene, because we're at 120.
One last thing about Larry's, because Haley reminded me in it. Larry's in his manipulating gives such Littlefinger vibes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But he's doing it in such a better way, honestly.
I think he's better. I like him better than
Larys is so freaking smart and calculating. He reminds me a lot of Book Patar. Like Patar. I'm sorry, but it's Patar. Like, you can't tell me Patar. You can't tell me shit. You can't tell me shit. It's Patar. It's Patar.
Next scene is Ulf and also Aemon's scene.
Okay, Ulf. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. The idea that Balon Targaryen was celibate after Alyssa died is stupid. And you are absolutely out of your minds if you're mad about the idea that someone could move on after the death of their wife. Now, it doesn't mean that he was in love with anybody. It doesn't mean that he wanted to be with anybody else. but people
Doesn't
still
mean he didn't
have-
love Alyssa, that she wasn't the love of his life. Like, but what's he gonna do with the rest of his life now that she's dead?
But
Yeah.
he's-
Exactly.
Like people, not everyone, but obviously Balon was a sexual person, so you cannot expect him to be celibate after the death of his wife. I'm sure there was like a period, but like, be so for real. If you're mad about that, then like stay mad about it, cry about it, because I mean, I like. Do I believe that there's a chance that he could be lying? I mean, sure, it's very I'm lying coded, but to say that Balon did not have relations with anyone else after Alyssa's death, you're crazy for that. Like, you're wild for that.
And
Yeah, I would be curious what the timeline is on that. Like, if we really wanted to get down into the weeds, but we don't really have like. It would be different because the timeline's different in the book than it is in the show, and we don't really have a solid sense of the timeline in the show, so I'm not sure you could really figure that out. But you guys know from what I was saying in the group chat, like, I walked away from that scene with the impression he's grandstanding and lying. Like,
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
he's a
for
dragon
sure.
seed.
There's-
He's a dragon seed, but it's not from a fucking royal line. It's probably several generations of bastards and this and that. Like, and
Right.
he's just saying that because the minute that Aegon comes in, he's like, I can't be saying that anymore. And I mean, if that's true, because if it were true, he wouldn't want to be saying that. But I just, the way the scene was set up is like, I don't think what he's saying is necessarily true. But I also, Eric had a good point in the chat where he was like, we have to think about this from people who have only seen the show, and the show has to somehow convey why he's going to be able to claim a dragon. And so it just needed a way to like establish that he has Targaryen blood. Because
So
like
he
the
had
show audience doesn't know about
Put it out
dragon seeds
there,
and all that.
just to put it out there, if Balon has bastards out there, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
I agree. I
Like-
agree with everything you said, Ashley, and I think he was lying. Like, and
Oh,
if he wasn't lying, I think it makes sense. I think he's lying, and I think that also makes sense. You know?
I think both things can definitely be true. Balon can be a sexual person after Alyssa is gone and have bastards. But Ulf could also be lying and is probably lying. So
The dragon seed stuff to me is very interesting because it's not at all what I was expecting the show to do, because
Right.
with kind of all of them, there aren't any clear indications besides Hugh, who actually has white hair. Like Ulf kind of has half white hair, and then
And it just looks like it's
Adam does not have white hair. Alan shaves his head, so we'll see. But it really does seem like everybody has like there's no obvious sense of them being dragon seeds, like the feeling we get in the book, the way people are described, because it's like every one of them in the book did have silver hair. Like that's kind of how they identify them.
Right.
yeah, which goes
is a
back to
bit
what you were saying
contradictory.
that they needed a way to convey that to the audience, so
Okay.
they can go with the white hair.
Moving on.
So,
to
moving
the
on
rest
to-
through the episode, and then have afterthoughts before Ashley gets off. Is the next scene is Aemon.
I really want to. Okay, so since we've already dealt with the full frontal, like that was already addressed at the beginning of the live, guys. Sorry if you missed it.
Yeah, stay tuned for the full episode to go back and listen to that.
We have our own group TikTok page now with all the clips from the live. So if you missed us discussing the full frontal, stay tuned. It will be up on there.
It'll be on YouTube.
It was
on
interesting.
YouTube.
That was interesting. You know, it was interesting, and it's HBO, so you kind of expect it. They're gonna throw a wiener in there. Like there's gonna be a wiener.
It's not happening.
The mounting
think we're
tension
getting-
between Aegon and Aemond is
I think we are getting what I have been saying for the longest time, and what I say in the Crown series about Aemond wearing Aegon's crown. Because why the hell would he be wearing that crown if he didn't want it? Like you don't see Tywin Lannister in the main series. You do not see him wearing Aerys's crown.
right.
And that's because he does not covet being king. He doesn't want to be king. He just wants the kingdom to run functionally. But I don't think at any point in time Tywin was like, oh yeah, I want to be king.
You know, Tywin likes having the king as a scapegoat.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh,
He
hide
likes
behind.
being able. He likes the ruling part, but he doesn't want or need the title. So Aemond wants to be king, and he is telling you that from season 1. He says that he would be better, and like he looks at his brother as his brother's trying to run away, as he's like, "Yeah, I would let you go. I want to. Believe me." And now we are seeing Aemond kind of goad Aegon. He's like, "Oh yeah, brother, like you should say, like don't risk yourself." Like he's
Look like a weak king. Don't risk yourself.
He's giving him in like that very sarcastic manner. And then the amount, like the disrespect and embarrassment in that brothel. Like Aemond is pissed. He is absolutely furious.
It's such a stark reminder that like Aegon was the bully. He's always been the bully. Like he
what
was
do
the
you think is
ringleader.
going to happen with Rook's Rest? And I have been saying it, and I will say it again. Aemond is going to come late. Like, I am convinced of this. I believe it more firmly now than I did before. Aemond is coming late.
It checks.
Oh, I don't think he's going to come late. I think he's going to be there, and then, his subconscious is going to take over in Vagar again. There's just going to be a little side chomp right after everything's done.
Oh,
that would be the time to do it, Aemond.
Something is definitely going to happen there that people don't expect, but it's going to go back to that being like that he wants his brother's throne. He doesn't believe Aegon deserves it. He thinks that Aegon is a joke, and he does not like his brother. He has a lot of strong hatred towards his brother, and he's the goal is to take the crown. Yeah, so, and that's going to show. That's going to show in Rook's Rest in some way or another. We're going to
next scene. Oh, go ahead, ladies, to see that.
The only thing I was going to say is we saw a little bit of it last season when Aegon was running from the throne, and Aemond was like, "He's running. Here I am, doing what I'm supposed to do, trying to find him."
It's definitely been hinting at that dynamic the whole time.
Exactly.
For sure.
The next scene is Rhaenyra and Alice's letter.
Oh, just her reading it?
Yeah.
I think that Rhaenyra misses the friendship. I even think that Alicent does in a way. I don't think she misses it nearly as much as Rhaenyra does, but I think that Rhaenyra feels a lot of regret, and she's hoping that that part of her friend is still somehow in there somewhere. I don't know. And I think that it's like, it kind of goes back to that last ditch of, oh, if I can just reach her on that level, like if I can get to my friend somewhere in there, like maybe we can fix this.
Yeah.
All right. What did everybody think of the little dragon chase that we got? A little taste.
Moondancer is gorgeous and perfect, and I have no notes, and I love her. She's the prettiest fucking dragon besides Viserion.
She's so pretty, and she's so girly too. Like you can see the feminine face, and I'm just like, look at her. She's so pretty.
It's like mint green, and the stripes. The stripes are so fucking cool.
Thinking, like she's such a girly pop. Like there's
girly pop. Yeah, she's a Barbie for sure.
Like she's a mint, like it's a mint Barbie, and oh gosh, she's just so pretty, and the way she was just so ready, like, come on, mom, let's go.
So well, it was really fun to see the command, like Bela giving commands. She tells her to go up and to stop, and then it also again made me think of Dany because everything makes me think of Dany. But Dany doesn't have to do that. It's all she'll say Dracarys, but like when she's like on them, and this is true in the books, she doesn't like give verbal commands the same way.
And I think because Daenerys, like with her relationship with her dragons, it's so different, like Viserion's fertility being connected to Dany's fertility is different because technically she's not bonded with Viserion, but she also is. She is. I think she's not like they're not dragon and rider, but they are still bonded in the emotional aspect.
Right. So you actually see that with Rhaena and Dreamfire. So they bond 3 years before she rides her. So the bond can exist without riding a dragon. And Dany is absolutely 1000% bonded with all three of the dragons. And I think that she gave her fertility to Viserion in the exchange. Viserion is the first one that is born. She hatches first. She is also the one that is by proxy associated with Rhaego, because Rhaego was sacrificed for Drogo, Drogo was sacrificed for Viserion. And so there's something happening there where she gave her fertility to Viserion, and that's why Dany will never bear a living child.
Oh. Okay.
So anyway, that's a whole...
That makes me so sad.
All right. So the next scene...
I'm gonna cry now. Like, what's the next scene?
Bayla relaying the information to Rhaenyra.
Oh, right, telling her she kind of, it was just a very teenager thing. Like, I did what you wanted me to do, but I also did a different thing too.
But also,
Right, she's like, technically, I didn't engage because no one's dead. But I did gather valuable information.
Rhaenyra doesn't really get mad at her though, but I think it's because Rhaenyra knows, like, teenage me would have done the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what I saw in that scene was Rhaenyra seeing herself in Bayla in a way that she hadn't before. She's like, oh, okay, got it.
Next scene after that is Harrenhal.
Which we kind of talked about, but no, I have no notes. It's perfect. It was beautiful. I loved it. Spooky.
Damon.
Everything I wanted it to.
Yeah.
I think Alice is out against all Targaryens. I think that she is just. I think we have just begun to see her wrath, and it's going to be an amazing thing to watch her cook. So I can't wait.
Agreed.
Next scene after that is Mysaria and Rhaenyra.
Which one?
Where she.
This is the setup for Septa Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
Oh, she comes and she asks her, okay. I mean, okay, so who the fuck was the guy that was with Rhaenyra, one of Mysaria's people? Who the fuck was that?
I believe that was Sir Lothar, the guy that runs in to protect him from Eric and Arik.
Oh, I don't think so. Wasn't that guy bald?
I think he was bald, and he was a bit younger as well, wasn't he?
No face.
Yeah.
Well, he might have facial hair. No, I think it's just another night of our
We've never seen this
Kingsguard.
guy before.
No idea.
I don't feel like we've ever seen this guy before.
That's what I got from it. It was just a member of her Kingsguard who had volunteered for this mission.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is kind of an annoyance for me, especially because, well, maybe it's not significant, but it's like, I don't even know who's in Rhaenyra's Kingsguard right now.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Or Aegon's for that matter.
That is kind of.
The
Aegon doesn't
books
even know
don't
who's in
even
it.
know. The books
Aegon
don't even
doesn't
know
even
all of
know
them
who's
either.
What was that, Eric?
Of the books, they don't even know all the members of the Kingsguard either
they don't
on both
even.
sides.
Which is weird
means that
because
it's not
don't they have the
significant.
white book? Like, how do they not know that?
I feel like at least for Rhaenyra's half, she wouldn't have had access to the book to put her Kingsguard's names in there. But you're right, for Aegon's, there's no excuse other than incompetence.
I just mean like the details we get.
Being incompetent.
I just mean the details we get from George. Like it's just not in there. All 7 of the names from both sides. We get like 3 or 4 from
Doesn't mean
both
they didn't
sides.
know it. Yeah.
At some point, Corlys does become her hand, but we don't see it yet. We haven't seen it yet.
Okay. What's the next scene?
Next scene is her going to King's Landing and the set.
Yeah, let's talk about that because I
So,
have
okay,
some
the
thoughts.
one thing I want to say really quickly is I laughed my ass off when Rhaenyra said, "I've begun badly." That I had to rewind
yeah.
it. I was laughing hysterically because she's got a knife to her and she's like,
Right.
I've begun badly. I thought that was really funny.
It also felt so on brand for Rhaenyra's character to be like, okay, listen, I'm not actually going to stab you. Please just listen.
Please listen to me. Yeah.
One of those moments.
I just about lost it laughing at that because she was like, okay, let me dial it back just a little bit and
Rewind.
Well, and again, it's one of those moments where I'm like, in movies and TV where you're like, so you had the whole boat ride to think about how you were going to open, and you chose to go with the knife. That's interesting.
Went with. That's
I
what
think it was mainly like I don't want you to scream, but then she looks at it. She's like, oh wait a minute, this might actually get her to scream. Like let me start over.
And how Allison was like, she was like, yeah, okay, and then what? And then what were you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, because they do know each other very well, and that was something I felt like that scene really, really demonstrated was like that they do know each other so deeply on such a deep level, like, and because you have to think about like their friendship when they were young goes beyond what we see on screen. There were years before we knew them that they were best friends, and I know the women here and probably the men too. Like those friendships that you have young like that, like between two girls, like those early friendships, like that's a thing. Like it's a thing. And so like, and I love that they played with that, and that there's always like, maybe not always, I'm bisexual, so maybe this isn't true, but like kind of a sapphic undertone to those like early girl friendships, like trying to, you're figuring all that shit out. And I like that they've explored that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I loved the scene itself. I didn't necessarily love it. I don't hate it.
I found it to be a little
I'm not
contrived.
mad about
Like,
it, but like,
it's
okay.
a little too easy to sneak into King's Landing and have this
Yeah.
whole thing happen. And it's just that I get we need the scene, Rhaenyra and Alicent. I was wondering how the show is going to do it because that is clearly the focus of the show, Rhaenyra and Alicent. But this was a little. I felt like I just had to go with it and just kind of look past.
And it
At
just,
this point,
I still love that they did
knows?
it. I still love that they did it, and I have to get off here really quick. But I just wanted to like say that I love that they did it this way because Rhaenyra had to try. It's like we've already said, she had to like give it one last go before that was it. And also, you get that look of realization on Alicent's face that not only was this about the Conqueror, not only was Viserys referring to the Conqueror and not to her son, but she's realizing in her head in that moment, and you can see the wheels turning. She's like, I told myself this lie. I lied to myself, and I convinced myself that this was true. And in my head, I believed it. But I understand now that it's not true, and I knew deep down that it wasn't. It was a lie.
Who are like upset because she doesn't acknowledge that to Rhaenyra, but like she didn't need to. Like
like
on her
said
face
it all.
that she put it together, that she gets it.
You have
And
to
like,
pay attention. You have to pay attention to the nonverbal language being spoken here because that's a big part of this show is the facial expressions and like with Daemon, the look of absolute horror when he sees Jaehaerys's body. Like he is horrified by what he has done, by what he has caused, but he doesn't need to say it. We can just see it in his facial expression. You see Alicent's realization of, all of this was a lie. But then she like doubles down in her resolve to say, you know what? No, like we're doing this. And that's because she is aware there's no control anymore. Like this has gone so far beyond either of them. Like it's beyond Rhaenyra, it's beyond Alicent, it's beyond anything. Like she can't just go to Aegon and say, I'm so sorry. I made a mistake.
we're not the king. Yeah.
You're not the king.
In the comments, Andy said, I felt such relief when Rhaenyra learned Viserys never wavered. Like, I agree. I think that this exchange had to happen. One, because Alicent needed to know she was fucking wrong. She needed to know that. I needed her to know that, goddammit. And I needed Rhaenyra to know that she was wrong. And that Viserys never wavered. That it was what she thought, that it was always her. And that she got that fucking validation that, like,
1000%.
now that I have no choice, I have to go into this war. They've left me no other fucking option. At least I know I was right.
The validation.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's like, I mean, what can Alicent really do at this point? She can't just go to Aegon and say, I'm sorry. I know Jaehaerys died. And I know that all of this.
You abdicate the throne you've stolen? No.
Yeah, I know. I have instilled, like, I basically forced you to take the throne. Like, she forced him to do something he did not even want to do. Like, can you imagine her trying to have that conversation with him and say, I was wrong about everything, I'm sorry?
You can't even comfort him when he's crying.
If I were Aegon, I would want to kill her at that point. I would be like, I am literally going to punch you in the face.
Well, and she has to know that. She has to know that there would be serious fucking consequences for her.
Like he's
But
going to be mad because he's going to be like, I never wanted this to begin with. I never wanted this to begin with. You have cost me everything, including the life of my child. And for nothing? Like, you're telling me it's for, like, screw you, lady. I mean, that is where his headspace is going to be, and she knows it. She knows it.
And Rhaenys said it best, that at this point, it has gone so far. If you ask any given 10 people, they're all going to give you a different answer as to when this thing started.
Yes, thank you for calling that out.
And that's why it's so great that we started with the Brackens versus Blackwoods. That's
exactly the same thing. You can't. Nobody can say for sure when that feud started.
Okay.
Which is a parallel to the fact that no one's going to be able to tell when the dance started.
Right. I wrote it down because I was so moved by what she said. It was she says that is one answer, or was it when the child was beheaded, or when Aemon killed Luke, or when Luke took Aemon's eye? Like, it was such a Rhaenys is always eating. She is always telling it fucking straight. And I see so much criticism in the fandom that's like, book Rainey's would never. Well, maybe that's the case, but that's not who you got. You got show Rainey's, and the bitch is always on point. So
I really just think people really need to throw Fire and Blood. Like, if you're going to take it that seriously, take that book and throw it right out the window.
Out the window.
Because the entire thing is written from third-party perspective. Nobody's absolutely sure what happened. We don't know shit. Like, this is all objective stuff. So stop it.
Thank you, Andy, for reminding me. Chelsea, don't forget the thing you wanted to say since it was in the end. It was actually not in the last scene. It was in the trailer. And it's when Rhaenyra, we can hear her saying, "The horrors I have released on the world cannot be for a throne alone." And that book, Danny, that could have come out of her fucking mouth, because it immediately made me think of Mother of Dragons, Mothers of Monsters. If they're monsters, so am I. Like, because Danny understands that this is something she has unleashed on the world, these dragons, and she's responsible for them and what they do. Like, oh God, and Ashley was talking about it earlier. Like, I just love how they are using show Rhaenyra to give the show audience an idea of book Daenerys. Just a little idea.
The horrible thing is though, is that people will go and be like, oh, look at how crazy Rhaenyra has become. Like, that just goes to show. Like, let me just tell you, like, Rhaenyra is about to go through so much more than anyone could ever possibly go through.
Yes.
Like, what you are going to see happen to Rhaenyra, it is like, that would happen to anybody. Anybody would lose their minds. Anybody is going to lose themselves as they are losing children. Right. You do not understand. Even I don't understand, and I have had a stillbirth. Even I don't understand Rhaenyra's level of tragedy, and no one can unless they have watched child after child after child pass away. Like, you can't, like, Rhaenyra has it right now. Rhaenyra has the plot. She's going to lose it because she's losing her children.
I will say, as someone I was raised by my grandmother, and my uncle died when I was 2, her son. And as someone, she always spoke very frankly with me. We were very close. And she said to me, it's something that you think about every minute of every day. From the second you find out you've lost that child, to the second your eyes close to go to sleep at night, it's on your mind somewhere. It's a loss. She explained it as, like, it's almost like losing a limb.
Yeah.
It feels like an entire piece of yourself is just gone.
Well, it is.
Exactly.
It is, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real talk.
It always makes me think, too, of Jamie talks in the main series about the mother's madness and how becoming a mother, there's a certain madness that comes with it, because you are creating a part of yourself and letting it out into the world, and you can't control it. You can't protect it. You know, all of these things that you want to do. And, you know, he sees it with Cersei, he sees it with Catelyn, we see it with Rhaenyra. Like, there's truth in it. I know it's true with my mom. My mom is like Mom TM trademark, like a caricature of a mom.
I think that Catelyn and Rhaenyra have so much in common. It's scary. It's almost too much, really, to see how much they have in common. Because you see Catelyn, all Catelyn really wants is for Robb to kiss a girl, to, like, be happy, to have children, and to live in Winterfell. Like, by the end, Catelyn doesn't even want it anymore. She's like, I don't care. I don't need the revenge. I don't need the validation. It's not going to bring Ned back. I don't need it
to cut her
anymore.
losses, to cut the losses. Like, she'd already lost so much.
All she needs at this point is, I need my son to go back to Winterfell. I need us to take Winterfell back. I need my son to grow old and have children. I need to be able to watch my son be happy. And that's really what I think what Rhaenyra wants. Rhaenyra wants to watch Jace and Baela be happy. She wants to rule for a time, and then she wants to pass it to them, and she wants to, like, see them grow. Like,
be successful.
Like, grow their family, be successful, be happy. She doesn't want any of this, like, blood and gore. Like, she just wants what was rightfully hers, what was always intended for her. And Aegon is not competent. You have Otto. Otto himself is saying Viserys was right about you. You are not a competent ruler.
God, I love that too. I love people having to find out the truth. That Otto let Aegon know you were never the king. Actually, is that really what you think? You believe that shit?
Yeah, it's like people need to come to realize that Rhaenyra is doing this because it has to be done because Aegon is not capable of ruling with a level head. We've already seen it. He's not capable. He just this whole idea of he wants people to like him and it doesn't matter why he's doing these things as long as these things are good. No, that is such dangerous behavior because you are never going to be able to satisfy everyone. It's like the Brackens versus the Blackwoods. If you're satisfying the Blackwoods, you are dissatisfying the Brackens, and it's the same thing. It's never going to work out.
Yeah, you're just a people pleaser and a good ruler.
One of the things I find really interesting is a lot of season 1, especially like before Viserys died, you would hear people being like, "Oh, well, Viserys' rule was boring. He didn't do anything. Oh, well, Viserys the Peaceful didn't do anything. Ha ha." And now it's like, what? We're maybe not even a month after his death, and we have multiple people being like, "Wish Viserys was here."
Right? Yeah. Hindsight's 2020, bitch. Yeah. Like,
right? It's like, actually, you have no idea how good you had it with a king who did everything in his power to avoid bloodshed.
And like even at the very end, man, Viserys was on his deathbed. Like he said it with his last 10 breaths. Please stop this. Like stop it. And Alicent even said, "You know what Aemond is." Okay, Alicent, if you know what your son is, then have a conversation with your child instead of just avoiding him. Yeah. Like she's actively okay. So she's, like I've said to you guys before, she emotionally depends on Aemond, which is all kinds of messed up. It's the reason why Aemond has so many freaking problems. And then you've got her completely ignoring Aegon in a moment where he was actually showing that he was upset legitimately about the loss of his son. So this is not a good parent. Like, she is aware that Aemond has issues, and yet she's not willing to do anything to help him or to stop it. Like, she's just like... Right. I'm done. I'm a woman.
He's so clearly, when Aemond specifically is so clearly looking for like that motherly connection that he's going to a fucking brothel to get it. Like he's desperate for a mother. Aegon is desperate for a mother.
Like, you know what Aemond is. Okay, so Alicent, do something about it. This is your child who clearly is like having a crisis. Like this is a cry for help. What happened with Lucerys was a cry for help. Like. You need to address it. You need to, like, figure out what you have to say to this boy, because keep in mind, Aemond is still just a boy. Like, talk to your son. Talk to your son.
I did want to say hi to Doreen, and I did want to point out that while it might not look like we read the comments, we do. We're just in the middle of a conversation with each other. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I think she's talking about maybe messages, like DMs, probably, but we can't see them because we're here.
We can't see them.
Oh yeah, no, definitely couldn't see those.
Which is always funny because like a lot of people, this is the only app where I can message. So it's like if you're in a live or I'm in a live or there's a problem with the live, how are we going to find out?
Like someone said that she mentioned her own mother a few times, and it's like, okay, so your understanding of what a mother is supposed to be, Alicent. So do it like be a mother to your children.
That was an interesting like callback to season 1 because Rhaenyra swears on her mother's name as well.
And it's a little bit.
Rhaenyra clearly has a relationship with Aemma. Like you can see that closeness in season 1 between the two of them. Like she doesn't even care about the child who doesn't even exist yet. It's not even in the world yet. She cares about her mom. Like, what, are you comfortable? Like everybody around here is worried about this baby who does not even exist yet. It exists in your uterus. Like I'm worried about you, the person who is here on this planet, living and breathing and talking to me right now. I'm worried about my mom.
So I want to address something in the comments really quick. Username Mother said, we don't read the comments. We do read the comments. It's that a lot of the comments you've left are things that we've already covered earlier in the live, and we're kind of trying to keep on topic. There's also 100 people in here right now, so it's hard for us to like be on top
Yeah,
of
we
everything.
had.
And like I said, we're also in the middle of a conversation with each other, so
Okay,
Just so
Short
y'all know,
Drafts
we're not
also.
ignoring you.
If you need
Also,
answers, hold on.
also Alicent actually comforts Helena in this episode, and they connect. Yeah, like I liked that. Like, I feel like of all of her children, Alicent connects more with Helena than, or she tries to, more than anyone else.
absolutely.
She still does Helena so freaking dirty. Like the funeral procession was absolute bullshit. I feel like Alicent is paying more attention to Helena than anybody else. But it's still this, like, it still shows where Alicent is lacking because she's not, like, she's still not doing it right. She's trying to reach her daughter. Like, she feels this sympathy for Helena to an extent, but she's not doing enough. Like, it's clear that Helena is very broken over this, and you would think that she would be more there for her in that sense, but I'm not seeing it as much as she should be. Like, it's very dysfunctional.
Really quick, a couple of people have asked in the comments about like a podcast. We do not have a podcast, but we do have a YouTube channel. And you can get to it through, I think, any of our bios. The link should be in all the bios.
Look, if it's your friends and you record it, it's a podcast.
Oh, okay, so
No,
the podcast is available on YouTube called Wicked Witches of Westeros. Which, by the way, can I explain? I want to tell you all the story behind this name. So, Wicked Witches of Westeros. When, back in the day, when I was still dating people, it was like 10 years ago, and I created a Tinder account, I had my bio, which was the Wicked Witch of Westeros living underneath the bell jar, because I thought that was so clever to combine Sylvia Plath and A Song of Ice and Fire. It worked. I got my man for 10 years, but that's where that came from, the Wicked Witches of Westeros.
I love that.
It sets a tone. Yes, it definitely.
And
is.
it's a great
buyer
name.
beware.
And then, of course, there
Guys,
was Joe who coined Hallowed Harpy's Brood of Witches, and so it was just so on brand, and so we're going with it.
Love
Okay,
it.
guys, I have to bow out, but this was so much fun. I really enjoyed it.
I was gonna say we should probably end because my battery's gonna die. But let's do Ashley. You start first with where everybody can find you, and then let's go with everyone where everybody can find everybody, so everybody can follow each other.
I was gonna say we do plan on like an actual podcast if TikTok does go away. So like we'll see what happens there. We will obviously be more predominantly on YouTube if TikTok goes away. I say if just because you just don't know, like lawsuits and stuff like that can prolong things. I am really just on TikTok. I don't I have Instagram, but it's like that's my private stuff, so that's why I do get a lot of requests from you guys on there, but it's like where I share my private stuff, so I don't really accept a lot of those. But yeah, I'm predominantly just on here right now. We will be more on YouTube if this app goes away.
I'm on. So my name is changing back to Zombie Terran tomorrow, but you can find me on TikTok. I'm also on Instagram, but that's personal, so I really don't accept a lot of people. But also, same handle for Twitter, Zombie Terran, and then also YouTube, Zombie Terran. But I also will be doing the majority of our content on the Wicked Witches of Westeros YouTube.
I really, right now, currently only create content here on TikTok, but I am wanting to start on YouTube so I can make longer form content. I'm so tired of doing multi-part series. Especially for this, I'd really like to just do one full recording of the Dragon Fertility series. That's just one video you can go to YouTube and watch. I'm also thinking about setting up a Patreon where you'll get access to my annotation notes, the Dragon family tree, custom content, stuff like that. So that's in the works. Yeah.
And Sumali?
Me? Okay. I'm obviously here on TikTok. I do have a YouTube, but I don't have anything on it right now. I'd love it if you subscribed. Most of my content is always going to be sewing and costume geared, but if you are into cosplay and that sort of thing, I have a feeling you'll like it. And then I'm on Instagram. It's a public account, so if you want to follow me there, you can, but I never post anything there. You'd think I was a ghost.
I appreciate your the Instagram stories of what you're eating.
Oh yes, I post my food every single day because my husband is like, an amazing cook, and I'm spoiled. But so if y'all want to be jealous of my food, you can follow me on Instagram.
For me, it's just right here on TikTok, Lady Sativa Targaryen. I do also have an Instagram, but that's literally a backup for if this thing goes away. I don't use it now. I will if TikTok disappears. But until then, it just kind of sits there with a couple of my videos on it.
Eric?
And then, yeah, I'm here, Eric, not Eric, mostly on TikTok. I have a YouTube channel with the same username. And then, of course, we have the Wicked Witches of Westeros YouTube, which will have the full episode. And then we also post clips on TikTok as well. So follow that page. If we can get to 1,000 followers, we can start hosting the streams from that account. That would be cool.
That'd be really convenient.
But I want to thank our guest panelists, both Simile and Brandon, for joining us.
Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm glad I made it this time.
Fans of you, and thank you for joining us to discuss episode 3, and then we will be back next week to discuss the B episode.
Guys, y'all have a fantastic day.
Bye bye, everybody.